Hi there, I am Laina Orlando, and today's guided inspiration for this segment of I am the light of the world, you are the light of the world, we are the light of the world, comes on this one day we call Valentine's Day, the day that we single out as the one day where we really go out of our way to express love to those people that we think are special to us. And this morning when I was inspired to share with you from A Course in Miracles, and I used the third edition, and the message that came to me was to share lesson 67, the essence of lesson 67. The title of it is Love Created Me Like Itself. But for lesson 67 to make sense, I had to really look at quite a few things about the beliefs that were in my mind. You see, the Course in Miracles attempts to train our minds to look at things very differently. Not only do we need to look at ourselves very differently, to recognize that we're not bodies, that we are consciousness, that we're not bodies, that we are energy, that we're not bodies, that we are light, that that fear is not real, that only love is real. Lots of things that the Course has been helping to train my mind and correct it so that I can think clearly. So, as I said, learning that I am not, a physical, that what I am is energy. Quantum science teaches us that. And we all at some level accept that we are made of energy, but intellectually, most of us walk around thinking that this is who we are, this physical body, which is why we operate with so much fear of death. But once you cross over into the being comfortable with the idea that you're energy, what happens is you begin to think like God. You begin to want to feel, what does energy feel like? What does energy know? What does energy do? And it just shifts your perception completely. And it's been a long journey for me. I've been on this journey almost 20 years. And I'm going to say probably the last 10 years, probably the first 10 was preparing my mind to accept truths. The second half has been about going into the place where not only do I embody truth, but I let myself be transformed because of truth. And one of the truths that took me a while to accept is this one: love created me like itself. Growing up, Catholic with Christian upbringing, and hearing that I was a sinner, that I was not, not worthy to be like the special Son of God, lots of things had to be cleared up in my mind. A lot of forgiveness for the mistakes that I had made. The Course calls them nothing more than errors. What I grew up hearing was sin and made me a sinner and made me, get a one-way ticket to hell, became nothing more, according to the Course in Miracles, than an error that I made, an error in judgment, because I didn't know who I was. And if, you grow up believing that you're a sinner, you kind of give yourself permission to do sinful things. But once you begin to understand that you are holy, that you are light, that you are energy, you begin to act like that. And I firmly believe that the reason we are not taught that we are the light of the world, that we're not taught that God, love created us as itself, is because if we knew the truth of who we are, we would all act very differently. This world would be a totally different place. It would be a place where we would be kind and loving and generous and uplifting with one another. But those whose minds have been conditioned into believing that they know better for the rest of us, there's the siblings, the older ones think they know better than the others, and the parents think they know better than the kids, and the bosses think they know more than the parents. The government thinks they know more than the bosses, and up we go on this chain of command to these people who have long disconnected from the true essence of who they are. Not that they're not just as much made by love, like love. They absolutely are that, but just like the rest of us, they've forgotten it. And the more power, the higher we go up in power to become, boss, CEO, go further up into president, go further up into king, go further up into, the ones that run the mega banks. If the further up you go in power and money, the further away you go from the memory that God created all of us equal. So those of us who are working at whatever level, and I am certain there are people at the very top. I have witnessed the shifts in some of those people. You can see when somebody changes their allegiance from the ego to God. It's so evident. I mean, there's a softening in those people. I know it in others because I know it in me. But one of the things that we have to make peace with is clearing up from our mind what God is. And God, growing up, was like Santa Claus. Sometimes it was mad at me because I was naughty. Sometimes it was happy with me because I was nice. And God became this judgmental person who decided if I was, naughty or nice, if I would get presents or not, if I would get turned into pillars or salt or not. So God became a judgmental being, and that gives us permission to be judgmental ourselves. Well, if God, who made us, is that way, then I can do that too. And then it's been drilled into us that we were made in the image of the Creator. But when we're given an image of the Creator that is faulty, we operate with faulty beliefs in our mind. So this journey of awakening creates or necessitates that we become self-aware first. We got to be aware of what's in our mind. Then we got to be aware of what the truth is, which is what the awakening process is. And once you are awakened, you embody the truth of who you are. Then you begin the process. Oh my gosh, it begins the process of ascending. And what ascension means is that you live from the highest frequency possible. It's not that you're above anybody else. It's that inside of you, you choose to see everybody from their highest perspective because you are looking from your highest perspective. So we've got to look at them exactly from the place that we want to feel in ourselves. But to ascend to that level, first you have to wake up. And to wake up, first you have to be aware. So let me share this guidance in our reading for today so that we can become aware of what God is, so that we can become aware of what we are and what needs to awaken inside of us. So lesson 67, the title of it is God Created Me Like Itself. Today's idea is a complete and accurate statement of what you are, what I am, what every one of us is. This is why you are the light of the world. This is why God appointed you as the world's savior. And when we understand what savior means, not that it's our job to pull everybody out of their darkness, it's our job to turn on our light. If we know that God created us as itself, and we become aware and make peace inside of us, that God is a God of love, that love is light, that light is what illuminates everything. When we ascend in our perspective about who everybody is, to see everybody as the light of the world, that's what salvation is all about. When we now see everybody as being the light of the world, as being a brother or a sister in Christ, as being just like us, then compassion for, okay, they dip down in their beliefs. They're operating from the darkened spaces, which means they've obstructed their awareness of the truth inside of them. That does not call for condemnation. It calls for compassion and forgiveness. Forgive them, they know not what they do. The people that helped me work through all of my crap, they were compassionate with me. The ones that were not compassionate, it didn't take me long to realize that they were not operating at the level of love, the frequency of love that was calling me back to myself. They were operating at some conditional love, and it was okay. That's where they were. But the ones who really helped me extend above and beyond what I thought was possible for me and my ability to be kind and compassionate, they were super kind and compassionate. That's why we love teachers that are so kind, like the Dalai Lama, like Pema Chodron, like Eckhart Tolle. We love those teachers who embody love and gentleness. Those are the ones that we want to teach us about love and gentleness. So let me read this again. Love created me like itself. This is why we are the light of the world, because we are just like God. This is why God appointed us saviors of the world, because when we turn on our light, we become beacons of love and light. This is why the Son of God looks to you for his salvation, because when we ground ourselves steadily in being loving and kind, then they know where to go to find the one who is steady and loving and gentle. He is saved by what you are. Our brothers and sisters, when they observe us and we are kind, especially if they knew us before, if they knew us as judgmental, as selfish, as self-important, hello, I was all those things. And I have that ability to be all of those things when I align with my ego. But when I align with the truth of who I am, because I remember that God created me like itself, and I now know that God is loving, and I align with love, and that is what light is, then the other ones that are still in the darkness know that in my presence, they're not going to be judged. In my presence, they get to be who they are, because it is not my job to point at the faults of any of my brothers and sisters. It is my function to be loving and then be an example that if they choose to try and do what I did, they can do it. Because if I can do it, anybody can. That's what Jesus taught us, that he was the way, because he figured out exactly how to align with God, to let go of the human training and align only with the voice for God. And when he said, I and the Father are one, he knew that he had been created just like love, which is why he taught us, love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. 3 commandments, period. Actually, I think they boil it down to 2. Period. So he knew love created him like himself. I know love created me like itself. I know you are created by love to love. Therefore, seeing that in you can only come from the loving part in me. So let me continue. So we will make every effort to reach this truth about who we are, and to realize fully, if only for a moment, that it is the truth. The Course in Miracles gives us all kinds of truth bombs. I mean, it just dropped bombs that shattered my illusions all over the place. I mean, it took me many, many years to allow many of those old beliefs to get shattered. But boy, when they became shattered and I just held on to the truth for just a couple of seconds, and then a couple of minutes, and then a couple of hours, and a couple of days, those days turned to weeks, turned to months, and they've turned into an amazing decade of realizing that I'm made in the image of God, and I know that God is love. So I know I am made in love's image. So it is my natural truth to be loving. That is what the light is. I turned on the light to illuminate the truth in me so that I can see the truth in you more clearly. So we're going to practice this and think about our reality and its wholly unchangeable and unchanged nature. Truth never changes, ever, ever, ever. God has been loving, one, light, energy, eternal, omnipotent, all of those things. Always has been that. I was taught things that were not true, so I had to train my mind to let go of what wasn't true and align with the truth. And all I discovered is the same truth that Buddhism teaches, the same truth that Hinduism teaches, the same truth that mystical, Christianity and Kabbalah, and the deepest of Gnostic teachings bring us to the truth of who we are, because we come to realize the truth of the Creator. And when we come to the place that we know that the Creator is nothing but the one energy that is all that is, of course, love is the only conclusion that you can come to recognize is what it is. So let me read this next part. This is the truth of us. Holiness created us holy. Kindness created us kind. Helpfulness created us helpful. Perfection created us perfect. Any attribute which is in accord with God as God defines himself is appropriate for us to use. We are trying today to undo our definitions of God and replace them with God's definitions of God. So, how do we come to know God's definitions of God? We've got to get comfortable with the idea that we can feel it inside of us. See, our bodies are magnificent vessels. They are vessels that allow us to be in this world to express ourselves uniquely as God in each and every one of us wants to express itself, as male or female, as gay or straight, as an artist or an accountant. God expresses itself in every possible way through each and every form that looks totally different, that is completely unique, because God is infinite. So there's no cookie cutters. Humans get comfortable with things that look like themselves. God is comfortable with that which is unique, because God knows that everything that is possible is within its realm, which is why God is love, because all that is different is loved by God the same way. So when we come to on this journey to know God, we have to move beyond our mental construct. We've got to peel away the layers of BS, belief systems, and a lot of them are bullshit. I know mine were. And move past the layers of BS to come to the place where we can feel the truth of who we are. This happens in different ways for different people. Some of us feel that truth when we're in nature. Some of us feel it when we're in the presence of the ocean or the mountains, or when we're sitting on our yoga mat, or when we are just simply sitting on a comfortable chair with a grandchild on our lap, with a cookie in one hand, with a storybook in the other, and we're just sitting having a moment. When you feel connection to whatever you are with in that moment, in that present now moment, you feel what God is all about. And a knowingness comes over you that allows you to know that love made you as itself. And when we commit to recognizing that is when we feel the best. That is when we feel peace. That is when we feel most alive. It's when we are in that state of allowing ourselves to be the light of the world, because love, light, God, all of that energy becomes synonymous, becomes, all different words to describe the one same feeling. When we accept that is the truth of who we are, and we do the work necessary of self-awareness to peel back all those layers in our mind that tell us we're not that tell us we're ugly or better than, superior, inferior, good, bad, all of those the thinking of duality, when we peel all that away, when we untether ourselves from all of those definitions and just live from what we feel to be the truth of who we are, you become one that examples what is possible for the rest of us. We've had many examples. The opportunity today, as we are moving further and further into the territory of the Great Awakening, we're moving more and more and more. More of us are turning on our light. The more light shows up on the planet by those of us who accept the truth of who we are, the more we're going to see that which was dark. The more we are going to see that which was operating completely against what God is, completely against the love that we are. The more we're going to have opportunities to practice compassion and forgiveness. Because this world is in the process of shifting out of darkness and into the light. But you cannot go into the light until we face all that was dark, all that was BS, all that was not true, that has given us permission to operate as sinners do. I share this with you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. These messages are coming from a real beautiful place inside of me. I know not everybody is going to like what I say. I know not everybody is going to agree with what I say, and that's perfectly okay with me. I love you anyways. My job, now that I am under no laws but God's, is to share what is coming through me. It is not my job to convince you that it's true. It is my job to share with you that it is true for me. And if that inspires you, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. None whatsoever. These are complimentary messages. But if you like what I'm sharing in my YouTube channel, LainaOrlando.com, I've got lots more information. And on Wednesdays, I was inspired to create a complimentary workshop. It's a free workshop at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And you can find links in my website. You can find links in my social media and on my YouTube. And those workshops are called Happy Dream Creators. Once you realize the truth of who you are, that love created you like itself, you get happy. And when you get happy, we create a beautiful, happy dream for all of us to exist in. A dream life, the American dream, the universal dream of individuals living truly, completely free to be themselves as God created them. Not how one world order tells us all to live, but how we individually want to live because we awaken God inside of us, and that ascends us all to a frequency of collaboration, of kindness, of upliftment that really brings about heaven on earth. Thanks a bunch, and I'll see you next time. I love you.